with full coverage of the Auburn Tigers,
Touchdown, Auburn!
the Alabama Crimson Tide,
Off to the inside, intercepted Alabama. Touchdown!
and everything college and high school sports. Now, let's join Andy, Brett, Randy, and Luke for this edition of Sports Blitz Live.
Good Saturday morning to you, and welcome into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, brought to you by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Scott Hardy, David Jones here with you this morning, talking all things high school sports in this first hour and transitioning a little bit over to the college scene the second hour. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday morning on this brisk morning. Feels like fall for sure now, David. So glad to be here with you this morning.
Scotty, I've been waiting to wear my new Comfort Colors Auburn basketball sweatshirt.
There you go.
Got up this morning, 58 degrees. I said, yeah, this is the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I don't think that there's anybody that loves the Tigers like you do. I mean, you have cemented yourself as that number one spot for the Tiger fans. But
I don't know about that, but I do love. I didn't get the opportunity to go to Auburn. It just wasn't in the cards for me. But I've been an Auburn fan since I could walk, and to live this close to Auburn now, after all the years of coaching and not being able to get to games and stuff. I mean, I go to Auburn basketball practices, baseball practice. I'm in Auburn a lot, playing my music as well. So it's just a blessing to be this close. So,
something that wasn't close was the Benjamin Russell Wildcat football game last night versus the Chilton County Tigers. Big win, 50-7 for the Wildcats. Gave up a late score there, second team was in, but, for the most part, probably the most complete game we've seen for the Wildcats. Big region win, was pretty critical after having that loss to Homewood. If you had a loss last night, it could have got real tricky for the Wildcats. Yeah,
that would have been an uphill climb, and that probably basically eliminated Chilton County last night.
Yeah.
Interesting, Luke and I were kicking around. I know you listened to the broadcast. Senior night, and I'm sure they have another home game by the end of the season, but they chose senior night, we think, just to boost those guys a little bit because they'd never beaten Benjamin Russell. And I'll give you two stats. I said this on the school board show last night, Scott. Two stats that tell you everything you need to know about that game last night. The first statistic, Benjamin Russell only punted twice. And the second punt wasn't even Malcolm Simmons. It was the backup punter. Mm-hmm. And Chilton County didn't get in the red zone until most of their guys, their fans had left and were heading to the house. I mean, late in the fourth quarter. No red zone appearances. Yeah. So, and I attribute it. We talk about the start, and I want to say this as a former coach because those guys don't get a lot of credit. One of my assistant coaches, Preston Poozer, who played at Oklahoma State, he wouldn't let us call our receivers and running backs, quarterbacks, DB skill people because he was a lineman. Mm-hmm. He said that's offensive to my big boy. I give all the credit last night. I think Coach Grider will agree with me if we can get him on this morning. Both lines were dominant last night, and that was the key to the ball game. And Riddick really, we didn't call his name that much last night, Scott. He really was. I don't know if he tweaked something. He had a couple of collisions with Cedarian Morgan that he won't forget for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Cedarian laid him out. And no, I'm not saying he's not a phenomenal dynamic player, but Benjamin Russell was so dominant last night that he just was not a factor.
Yeah, and, on the collegiate level, he'll have more people around him that match his talent level, and it won't be so reliant upon him to be such
The
guy, yeah. But, I mean, when you were facing a team like the Wildcats who have so much talent at the skill positions.
It's okay, you can say
it. It's tough. And, I mean, really, Malcolm had a decent game. For most people's standards would have been a heck of a game. But it was the last couple of games we've seen Cedarian Morgan really start to emerge as somebody who could be a number two and really is number one for most teams. But when you have Malcolm and hopefully we'll be getting Chris Foster back here in the next couple of weeks, and you still have David Lawson and a plethora of guys, but I thought Sedarian probably had one of the best plays we've seen all season.
Absolutely.
Got called back due to a penalty, which is something we'll discuss a little bit later. I'm sure Coach Grider, even though in a 50-point or putting up 50 points and basically a shutout for most of the game, the amount of penalties that the Wildcats had is something you'd want to shore up, especially when you start to get a little bit closer to playoff time. But I thought that Gabe Benton played pretty well, was able to disperse the ball around a little bit, and obviously somebody who's been a focal point of the offense from day one, starting at Wetumpka with the monster game, and that was T.J. Wilson first half or first quarter, really. I mean, he was so dominant. It goes back to what you were saying about the success of both lines, but particularly the offensive line.
Absolutely. Well, when we had to pick a player of the game, and Luke said, I almost want to pick Micah Murphy.
Micah Murphy, yeah.
And
Chick-fil-A.
Hey,
we got to trademark that.
That's got to stick.
Yeah.
I got to give Luke credit for that. And of course, Lois Ann, his mom, was the Chick-fil-A operator, was sitting right down from us, and she just guffawed when we. But that's got to stick, Chick-fil-A. But he even got some snaps on defense last night, and was in on several plays on defense. Micah Murphy's going to turn into quite a player. But I said, let's give it to Wilson, just because in the first quarter, that first drive, he basically carried them down the field. And I said, he set the tone. And Scott, it was 14-0 midway of the second quarter, almost late in the second quarter. It felt like more. And then, before you can get to the concession stand, beat the crowd at the concession stand, Benjamin Russell tacks on 2 more scores, and it's over at halftime. So I hope we can. I'm waiting to hear from Coach. I hope we can get Coach Grider. I said last night to Luke, as a former coach, there are games when you get home late at night, and it just didn't go well, and you just say, I'm not watching that one until tomorrow. Last night might have been one of those games where Smitty got home and said, let me fix a cup of coffee and just stay up and watch this one, because it was absolutely, when I met with him Thursday, keys Friday night, and he said, number one, we've got to put fourth quarters together. We hadn't done that yet. And number two, we have to contain their athletes. And they did both of those things brilliantly.
Yeah, and I had talked to Coach Grider about that and said, my initial response, and as an Auburn fan, it was not the right thing to say, and I had to revert back to a different thing. But I said, are we going to expose Riddick tonight? And he was like, expose? And I said, let me rephrase it. Are we going to display that we also have a high-profile Auburn recruit as well, and some other guys that are garnering that type of attention? So I think we'll be able to see something this Friday. So again, Wildcats, big win, 50-7, kind of sets the tone for the rest of the season. Have 2 big matchups against Briarwood and Helena coming up. That Helena's still kind of the top of the region, one of the top teams in 6A, but I think the Wildcats really put together offensively. I thought defensively, and Wes, y'all were asking Wes, what was the difference? And he said defensively, but I thought from an offensive standpoint, setting the tone early and getting ahead for the most part this season, the Wildcats have had to, even in their blowout wins, got down early, 7-0, giving up a drive early, and the defense set the tone for that. But offensively, came out, scored, set the tone, running the ball, and I think that's the type of balance that Coach Krager and Coach Grider were hoping to see more of, and so it takes pressure off of your playmakers or your high-profile guys, and them in more one-on-one situations. And saw last night that you don't have to necessarily dial up some spectacular play for these guys. You get them the ball, and they'll figure out a way to make a play.
Yeah, they did. And the other point I made, the other point I wanted to make, Scott, was Benjamin Russell ran almost 70 plays last night. Chilton County barely ran over 25 plays. That's incredible. And the other thing that we did last night from an offensive standpoint with Coach Krager and his bunch, we stretched the field. We did take some long shots. Even though we weren't successful on any of them, we took some long shots, and Chilton County figured out, we're going to have to cover the entire field tonight, width and depth. And that was just too tall of a task for them, especially after we'd established the run. And I kept I kept saying, they faked that speed sweep, a couple of times. And I kept telling Luke, I want to see a speed sweep before the night's over. I want to see Malcolm. And Luke said, you might not. They don't need to. And, of course, they did later. And there were 2 Auburn coaches in attendance last night, Coach Davis and Coach Aldridge. And I think they know.
Yeah, they know.
I think that Malcolm is a couple of things that I think on the high school level, he really tries to reverse field too much and get a little too cute, changing direction. On the college level, Scott, he's not going to be able to do that. I think he'll understand. You change directions once, you get your shoulder pass north and south, you get what you get. He'll learn that. But I think he's the type of under-the-radar player, and I don't say that out of disrespect. I say that out of the amount of these huge blow-up 5-stars that Hugh Freeze is bringing in. I just think he's going to blow up when he gets to Auburn.
Yeah, I think he's somebody who will make I don't want to say an immediate impact, but if he's given the opportunity to get on the field, and I don't know if this was tongue-in-cheek or not, but he was asked in a recent interview, would he'd be willing to punt as well. And, I think that there's a lot of things you could do with him back there if he was a punter. And, I mean, funny thing is you don't really he has no coaching being done with him on the kicking game side. And so I'm worried that if you ever did try to teach him, it may throw him off some.
You leave that alone.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Grider, last time I talked to him on the show, I was talking about Malcolm's punting. And he said, that dude loves to punt. He said, if there's a football laying on the ground at practice, he's going to punt it.
Yeah.
He's going to kick it. You got to love that. And you're right. That opens up an entire plethora of things you could do with him back there. He would definitely be my backup punter.
For sure.
And he would embrace that. He would love that. Kid loves to kick.
But, no, I think that both he and Riddick will be names that Tiger fans will get to be very familiar with moving forward. And, I'm excited about – we'll get to Auburn later, but I'm excited about just Benjamin Russell specifically being able to get some of that recruitment attention that we had for, pretty much half of the 2000s, early 2000s, where we were sending guys to Auburn. There was about a 10-year stretch where there was a Benjamin Russell player on the Auburn roster, and that's something I think you'll see more of as we continue to produce the type of talent. But as you said, we'll have Brett at 7:30, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with Coach Grider. But we're just getting started here on the Saturday Sports Countdown. More with David and Scott right after this.
Sportz Auto Sales, Highway 280 in Kellyton, Alabama, is home-owned and home-operated. If you're looking for tires, they have it. If you're looking for a vehicle, they have them. Great selection. Always out looking for more just for you, the customer. And if you're looking for service, whether you buy the vehicle from them or whether you buy the vehicle somewhere else, they do service work and got a great crew there. Keep us in mind. Don't you go by Sportz Auto Sales on Highway 280 in Kellyton today.
What's the verdict?
Can't fix your heat pump. Need a new one.
Uh-oh. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Daikin.
Call on Kevin Kill in Sunshine Heating and Air at 256-825-4849, Central Alabama's premier Daikin dealer.
So what's he thinking?
Oh, he's thinking Daikin.
Daikin, one of the top selling in the world.
Now I'm thinking Daikin.
Daikin. Comfort for life.
Russell Do-It Center and building supply stores have the tools and materials to get the job done right, whether you're a professional contractor or just a weekend do-it-yourselfer. With everyday customer conveniences like a drive-through lumberyard, price match promise, and our Best Rewards program, each of our 9 locations offer top brands and building materials like lumber, hardware, tools, paint, lawn and garden, and much more. Visit today and see what Russell Do-It Center and Building Supply can help you build tomorrow.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dade, the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.
The coast is here. Wharf Casual Seafood is serving up all your favorites: shrimp and grits, po' boys, tacos, seafood platters, and so much more. Don't miss out on our famous loaded fried green tomatoes. Fourth
Welcome back into the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown, brought to you by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. Very excited to continue to be great partners with both of those businesses. Been a part of the R&B Media and Sports Blitz team for quite some time, and we'll celebrate a very significant anniversary for JR's later in the month, and so we're excited to participate with them. And obviously, Kevin Kill has kept us all cool during the summertime and kind of going in. So if you have any issues HVAC-wise, please reach out to them. And obviously, if you're looking for some great food and a community partner, call JR Sports Bar and Grill as well. And if you're interested in talking to us as well, you can call in here, 256-234-6221, as well as catching us online on Facebook Live and dropping us a comment there. And Dave will have a special friend joining us this morning online.
I wanted to give a shout out to Chandler Foreman. Chandler, some of you may know who Chandler is. If you're ever at an Auburn baseball game, do not sit directly in front of Chandler. He has the strongest set of lungs I've ever heard. And here's the crazy thing about Chandler. Chandler, thanks for tuning in. I saw Chandler in College Station a weekend before last. Chandler knows the names of every baseball official in the SEC.
That makes it fun.
And he will wear them out. It's hilarious. Chandler, love you, man. Thanks for tuning in.
My father-in-law is very similar when we go watch Auburn basketball game. He knows the officials, and he will he'll make it known.
He knows their quirks and their idiosyncrasies and their weaknesses.
Yeah, he'll make it known. But
he knew those in high school too.
Yeah, that's what I hear. But as we always do on Saturday Sports Countdown, the first hour is dedicated to high school. And spent the first segment talking about the Wildcats and 50-7 win for them. And, you know, this was, again, a game that the Wildcats needed to really put together a strong game. And you want to be playing your best this time of year. I wasn't that concerned. You never want to lose games. But, you know, as long as we started to play our best ball this time of year as we get ready to head into the meat of the region schedule, then you feel comfortable. But some of these games that we'll go over, some surprising things you've seen from a historical standpoint, and then just some teams who continue to dominate their classifications. But we'll start first with Class 7A, Auburn with a 31-30 win over Opelika. And Opelika had the lead for most of the game, and Auburn comes back and, as you said, very late, almost game-ending score to win it. Mm-hmm. And for Opelika, it's just they can't seem to get off the snide. They've been so competitive in all of these games, and they're in the region of death, and so is everybody else in that region. But for a team like Opelika, who is really new to the classification, it's tough for them. But that would have been a big win for them to get that.
And last night, and Scott, I really felt like last night. Oh, by the way, Chandler coached Gabe and Chris Foster and much of those guys in seventh grade basketball.
Okay.
I think Opelika thought last night was the night. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, the rug pulled out from under them at the end. Just heartbreaking for them. But, you know, that Auburn program continues to shine, and they may have something to say in 7A. I really think Central Phoenix City, obviously, and Thompson are the cream of the crop, obviously. And we say that every year. How many more years are we going to say that till somebody else jumps up? But you mentioned region of death. That region and the Birmingham region are by far just.
Birmingham may be, because you have Thompson, obviously, that makes it, you know, tough. But when you go through and look at some of these names, like a Vestavia, like a Hoover, who gets a huge win last night and gets them back on track, and a team that we're pretty confident if they can take care of business, we'll still be a playoff team. And regardless of what has happened previously, playoff time, you don't want to face the Bucks. But moving through some of those, Baker 35-6 against Auburn Bryant. As you mentioned, Central Phoenix City 48-14 win over Dothan, and that's a Dothan team who is they have some dudes. They have some dudes, and they, you know, we talked about how this seemed like it would be a team that would be good. Actually, Coach Grider, being down there at one point in his career, you know, when they merged the two schools, it seemed like that would be, with that much talent, would be competitive. But when you're playing teams like Enterprise and Auburn and Prattville and Phoenix City, you know, it gets tough. But Enterprise, as we just mentioned too, they beat Prattville 49-17, and we'll stay there for a moment. You know, the Prattville it hasn't been there the last couple of years, and you know, JB, I think, is somebody they were excited about coming in, a former line and somebody who could bring that, you know, community camaraderie back, and just haven't really been able to do the things that you've accustomed to hearing and seeing as it relates to Prattville. No,
it's a mystery, Scott, and it's interesting. You're talking about two programs right there. Well, you remember back when Coach Bacon was at Enterprise, Charlie Dare and all those guys. I mean, this has been years ago, but Enterprise was cream of the crop for a long time, and then Prattville came along, and now that's kind of flipped by. Ben Blackman and Tony Stoniker and that staff at Enterprise are doing a great job. That's a phenomenal facility, and that score surprises me. I didn't think there would be that big a margin of victory.
And it could be. I mean, that's not necessarily a knock on Prattville. It could just be, you know, how great of a team or how good of a team you have in Enterprise. And
right.
Speaking of talent and teams, Foley beats Fairhope 21-17, and very well aware of the amount of talent that Foley has, but big win for them coming off a loss last week.
And that hasn't happened very much in recent years, that Foley has beaten Fairhope. Foley's another program that's not there yet, but they're coming. And, of course, we know they've got a pretty darn good athlete that's committed to Auburn.
He's all right. He's all right. But going down some more of the scores, Hoover 62, Oak Mountain 14. And
goodness.
Brett and I spoke at length last week about how, you know, you couldn't dismiss the Hoover Bucks because of the history of the program and understanding the value of continuing to be one of the top teams, not only in the state but in the country, but not the type of season that the Bucks, you know, or anybody really that's followed high school football for the last 20 years would expect to see. Typically, if they lost a game or two, it was because they were playing somebody out of state. You kind of could understand that. But now I think with a couple more games left in that region, they'll have an opportunity to still make the playoffs. And going down a few more, Huntsville 36, Albertville 7, James Clemens 31, Sparkman 30, Mary Montgomery 48, Davidson 13. Spain Park gets a big win, 35-14 over Tuscaloosa County. Thompson, as you said, we're these next three teams all in that area. Thompson 40-14 over Hewitt Trussville, and then Vestavia Hills 45-21 over Chelsea. And you know, Vestavia may have a say, too, in who ends up coming out of the 7A classification, putting together a very good season. And they've kind of emerged as that team that could maybe put a dent in some of that success that Thompson has had over the years.
It's, you know, they played Thompson fairly close. And that's a prime, you know, I'm always looking at from a coaching eye, and that's a perfect example of a new coach that came in and had to go through some growing pains, totally flipping the philosophy. Because, you know, Buddy Anderson for 40-something years was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, not quite that, but you know what I'm saying. And so the new coach comes in, I can't recall his name, and brings a spread in, brings a more up-tempo in. And, man, that first year, they were getting hammered.
Were you a spread guy or were you a –
I did a little bit of everything. I ended up, my latter years, I was a middle school football coach, and so I would run whatever the varsity was running. And of course, on middle school, you know, you got to water that down a little bit, you know. Wow. But I like the spread, you know. But I'm old school too, Scott. But it's great to see that program flipping the script on that and getting that philosophy and those guys buying in, and now them seeing the result. Now, Chelsea's may not be a very strong team, but still, I mean, Vestavia's racking up W's.
They are. I mean, that Birmingham region probably has, I don't know, they're it goes back and forth for me. I could see where they're 1A this week, and the next week it'd be 1B for them. But I think that you're going to see, again, those same teams that we talk about consistently emerging from 7A. And right now it does appear that the top two are Phoenix City and Thompson. But Auburn's still in the mix, Enterprise in the mix, Vestavia in the mix. So should be an exciting time here winding down toward the playoffs.
Well, see, that you had the Freudian slip there. You said Hoover. But my point is this. That's the other big story in the Birmingham region is that Thompson is the dog now, where Hoover was for so many years, and that has flipped. Because when Thompson hired Mark Freeman, I knew that was going to happen because I grew up with Mark Freeman. I watched him through the years, and but that's an interesting dynamic too. That Hoover's where they are, but Thompson is firmly established as the top dog in that Birmingham region right now. But it'll be interesting, Scott, to see if we can get something besides a Central Phoenix City Thompson championship game this year.
Yeah, and, Auburn has been there multiple times, just hadn't been able to get over the hump. We still talk about 3 years ago where, have the game in hand, basically. It's over, and then onside kick, and then, it happens. But I don't know. And something I like to get your thoughts on, too, and it's not the same, but it's similar. Alabama and Hoover are similar to me, where Georgia kind of has some – they're the top of the SEC, top of college football, and rightfully so, back-to-back national champions. 4 in a row, I think, for Thompson. Maybe more than that, I could be wrong, but 4 in a row for them for sure. And so not that Alabama has slipped to that point. They're not losing multiple games or haven't so far. But when you do have a team that has been at the top for so long and then a rival that kind of finally gets up there, they're not going to do anything, or they're going to do everything they possibly can to make sure that they cement you down as not being somebody that could supplant them from that number one spot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll say this. I think today's game, should Alabama go to Texas A&M and lose today, that will take a little more shine off of the dynamic that you're talking about. Multiple losses early in the season for Alabama, which we have not seen in recent years. Let's be honest. Coach Saban's he's done it, but they're, it's interesting to see them. They've always been so efficient, Scott, with their quarterbacks. I mean, you can call them gang managers. I'm talking about McElroy, Mac Jones, and then you've got the dynamic guys like Tua and Bryce Young. It's interesting to see Alabama. And maybe Milroe has now firmly established himself as the guy, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to tell you this, with us off today, and I know we'll get into this in the second segment, so I need to probably save some of this, but it's a great day today to watch college football. There's some big-time games that we'll get into in the next hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when we come back from this break, we'll have Brett Pritchard join us to get his thoughts from last night's game and maybe a little bit of college football Saturday, more of the Sports Split Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Sign Source is your local vendor for commercial and residential sign manufacturing and installation. We offer all kinds of lighted and non-lighted signage, from retail signs, LED message centers, event banners, vehicle wraps, the whole spectrum. We also offer service and repair on existing signs, as well as retrofitting to LED or installation of outsourced signage. We have the knowledge necessary to fulfill all of your signage needs in the short or long term. Visit signsourcenow.com to get started.
Satterfield Outdoor Living is Lake Martin's trusted friend for your outdoor land and leisure needs. We're the region's authorized Skag mower dealer for residential and commercial lawns and offer all the small engine accessories you need. With top lines of Steel, Echo, Shindaiwa, Husqvarna, and Metabo products that can tame any landscape. Satterfield is also your grill headquarters with Big Green Egg Grill. And our pros service everything in-house and back up all sales. Get the Satterfield Outdoor difference on Highway 280 right across from Tallapoosa Ford.
You want the best opportunity to be successful in life. You deserve that opportunity. Well, you just happens to be in our motto. Central to you, central to your success. Your future is right now. Don't wait. Make your dreams a reality. by enrolling at Central Alabama Community College. Register today at cacc.edu.
Looking for an attorney you can trust for your real estate closings? Wisdom Law Firm at Lake Martin has you covered. Your real estate transactions are fast, convenient, and professional every step of the way. Wisdom Law is certified and licensed by the American Land and Title Association and approved by all local lenders. Visit Wisdom Law Firm at 6366 Highway 49 in Dadeville or at their Auburn location at 2353 Bent Creek Road. No communication concerning a lawyer's legal services shall be published or broadcast unless it contains the following language, which shall be clearly legible or audible as the case may be. No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center provides optimum care for the whole person. Dr. Dimo Popov specializes in the prevention and diagnosis of high blood pressure, kidney disease, diabetes, and acute and chronic conditions. Our weight loss clinic offers lipo shots and a guide to healthy weight loss. Alex City Internal Medicine and Nephrology and Weight Loss Center, where lifestyle changes are made.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed, and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Scott Hardy and David Jones here with you with the Saturday Sports Countdown, and we spent the first half hour talking about high school athletics, or high school football specifically, going over some scores, just ran down 7A, and we'll get ready to talk a little bit about 6A moving forward, but we do have a caller on the air for us. So, caller, thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys.
What's going on, Brett? How you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. You doing all right?
Yeah, we're doing good. I was talking to David before we got on air and saying it was a little weird to not have you and Randy on the call last night, but know you guys were listening and supporting from Maine. But Wildcats with a big 50-7 region win over Chilton County last night, and kind of get your thoughts on last night's win.
Yeah, guys, it was definitely different. But again, thanks to Luke and David for stepping in, and you know, it was neat to kind of be on the other side for a second. You know, kind of sit back and watch the game and listen to Luke and David and Wes call it. And I don't think you said it. I mean, a big region win for the Wildcats, able to go on the road. And you know, this was a Chilton County team that has some really good players and really playing better. And you know, we knew on the road that they were going to, you know, this is a top region, and you're going to have to play well every Friday. And you know, you looked at the scores, and you looked at Helena last night, and they had to come from behind against Briarwood. It's a very well coached region. So I'll be honest, a little bit shocked at the discrepancy in the score, but the Wildcats, you know, came out and really jumped on Chilton County early. And defensively, Scott, you and I have been watching it. You know, this team's been playing good all year on the defensive side of the football, and it's really been a pleasant surprise because they had to replace eight new guys. I mean, I'll bring in 8 new guys on 3 returning starters. So I thought it was going to be a work in progress on defense. So I think the defense is really overachieved at this point. And, you know, we've seen 3 times now this Wildcat offense, when they click, they're as good as anybody in the state. So very big win on the road. Anytime you can get a region win like that, dominate, you carry a lot of momentum. The last time we had a big win like that, we had an off week. So I know Coach Grider's probably excited to have that off week out of the way and build off this momentum and keep this thing rolling.
Hey, Brett, David, thanks for the kind words. We had a blast last night, and got a lot of assists from your wife and some of the BR fans that were sitting in front of us. Just had fun, and I know that they missed you guys. What's the temperature in Maine this morning?
It's a balmy 58.
Well, that's what it is here. Wow.
Yeah, it's basically a tropical storm moving this way.
Yeah. I hope y'all get out of there.
It's not. It has the real cold weather hasn't moved in, so it's been very nice. It's been very, very pleasant up here.
That's fantastic. Well, I think what happened last night, I don't know why that was senior night for Chilton County. Surely that's not their last home game of the year. But they chose senior night, maybe for a little momentum and motivation because they'd never beaten the Wildcats. But it was like a boxing match where one guy just came into the ring and said, "No, not happening tonight." And early, it was over. It really was. They had nothing to cheer about. So many big plays last night from different guys. But I thought the Wilson kid, the running back,
DJ.
Yeah, he just set the tone early. I know you probably saw the catch that Scott and I have already mentioned. Probably one of the most phenomenal catches I've ever seen on the high school level by Cedarian Morgan, and called back on a holding. And I don't know who the kid was that ran the 99-yard interception back that got called. Did you see that play, Brett?
I did. Yeah, all of these plays. I think, David, what you're saying is exactly right. There's a couple of things I observed. Watching the game. Number one, offensive line came out and dominated the line of scrimmage, which was really, really good to see. TJ is a great running back, and he's a 100 to 150-yard back a game guy. And, if you have that in high school, you got a tremendous weapon, and if that offensive line continues to improve and do what they did last night, Benjamin Russell is going to be the team that we all felt like they could be this year. And you're right, and the weapons were displayed. I thought Gabe played well last night, and I'll tell you what I thought Gabe did the best of. And you and Luke said it early. Gabe had a couple opportunities to run the football and get first downs and had, maybe 15, 20 yards, and he tries to be patient, look downfield, but sometimes he's got to take what the defense gives him. I think he's a very unselfish player. That's the thing about Gabe. It's not about him. He is a star quarterback. His size and his ability. He figured out, look, I've got to take the yards, and he started running the football. He's a weapon for this team, and if he'll continue to do that when these defenses drop guys back to cover our wide receivers, and they leave a bunch of green grass open, Gabe's got to take that. I know Coach Grider and Coach Crager are telling him that as well, but, he's a weapon. This team's got a ton of weapons on offense, and when they're clicking, like I said, they're really tough to defend. But you're right, Cedarian, a phenomenal catch. I know it didn't count. He ended up coming back and getting another touchdown right there a few plays later. Gabe threw another good pass to him, but that catch was as good as any you'll see, and you'll see why Cedarian Morgan will be a 4 or 5 star player here in a couple of years. Just a sophomore, but he's just tremendously talented. This is a good run for Benjamin Russell. You got Caleb Spivey on the defensive line. He's playing extremely well. He's already been offered by Auburn. You got Cedarian Morgan. You got guys smattered. This senior class is loaded, but there's a lot of good talent up and down. The junior, sophomore, and freshman classes. So looking forward to seeing what this team can do the remainder of 4 games. And, you're going to have 4 tough ones. You got Helena in there. You got Briarwood in there. And, you got Pelham next week at home. And Pelham is a team that just seems to have our number every year. It seems like we always come up about 1 or 2 points short. So maybe we can turn that around, this coming up Friday.
What grade Spivey in?
He's a freshman.
Unbelievable.
He's a freshman.
That's unbelievable.
So we that's something I was talking about, Brett, too, is that, for a decade, basically, Benjamin Russell was a pipeline for Auburn, and there was somebody on the Auburn roster from Benjamin Russell for quite some time. And it's not just about Auburn, but I think that it's great that the Wildcats are starting to emerge back as a team that is putting, high-profile guys on the collegiate level, and usually when that's happening, that's equating to success on the high school level too. And so great times right now to be a Wildcat fan. But something you and I talked about last week that I thought was very telling in the way this game played out was, for the majority of the season, the Wildcats have found themselves in a hole pretty early, 7-0, 7-0, 14-0, whatever it may be. And so quick defensive stop, Wildcats come out and score. So I think that set the tone, and if that's something that can continue and get this offense going pretty quickly, it'll be tougher for teams, I think, to stay competitive, at least from an offensive standpoint.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, there was a lot of expectations around this offense and a lot of hype. I think sometimes these kids understand that, and they maybe press a little bit. The last couple of times, the last couple of weeks, looks like the Wildcats have been a lot more loose on offense, and looks like these kids are having fun, and that's what this is all about at the end of the day. And let their talent do what they can do. I mean, it's not about can they do it? It's go out and do it, but have fun doing it, and quit putting so much pressure on yourself. And I think you're right. You look over at Chilton County last night, and David and Luke, you guys didn't really call DeMarcus Riddick's name at all, and it was just odd. I'm not a coach. I don't claim to be, but it seemed to me he was out of position most of the time last night, and you didn't get an opportunity to really see what he's able to do. I mean, he's one of the top linebackers in the country, and but I also think our offensive coordinators and offensive staff did a good job of scheming to get around him too, and that kind of all goes into it. But Scott, you're right. It's so much better to get off to a fast start. Obviously, that's the goal, and not feel like you're playing, from behind and fighting an uphill battle, right out of the gate. So you come out and get the stop, you go back down and you score, and you kind of jumped out 2 touchdowns there, and it kind of took the steam out of this Chilton County team. So it was a big win. 50 points in high school is, that's impressive, and just shows what we can do, and hopefully carry that momentum into a very big game against Pelham next Friday night at the Sportz. It's going to be a fun one.
Brett, I want to. You're right about Riddick. That's a mystery. They moved him to safety, and he had a couple of collisions with Cedarian Morgan that he probably will remember for a while. I want to give kudos to one more kid from last night, and this helps the Benjamin Russell team be a more complete team because you got a punter. But Chick-fil-A last night, Micah Murphy. Hey, that's got to stick. I got to give Luke credit for that. Lois Ann was having a duck when we called him that. But he has such a repertoire kicking off. That pooch kick that he executed last night was a thing of beauty. And he's got the little knuckleball, kickoff that he does that they bobbled. And I don't know what his longest field goal is, but a couple of those extra points probably would have gone 30, 35 yards. I just thought he did a phenomenal job last night kicking the football. And then when he got on defense, he was in on some plays. So I wanted to tip my hat to Micah Murphy from last night.
Micah's a great kid. He's a kid that works hard, and his brother Colin kicks also. He's younger than him, and
right.
Micah's a good defensive player. He's a junior. He's going to have his shot, I think, to contribute even more moving forward on the defensive side. But you're right. Last night was the first time, I think, all year I didn't see any glitches with snaps or holds or anything. It seemed like everything was in rhythm. And David, as a coach, everything has to work in unison on special teams for it to come together. And, if you got a snap that's off or, the hold's not right or whatever, the timing's thrown off with the kicker. So last night it all worked, and you can see, Micah's talent and his strength in his legs going to keep getting stronger. And, yeah, he is a weapon. And Benjamin Russell, ever since I can remember, has always had good kickers. And we've been blessed because that's not the case a lot of times in high school football. It's a struggle for some communities to find somebody to kick. And we've been very blessed. We take it for granted around here that we have kids that can kick. And Micah's another one that's going to continue to get better and be really good for us.
Well, speaking of really good, probably get some really good lobster later on today, Brett. So I hope you and Randy continue to enjoy your trip. And it was, as we said, it was a little different, but it was fun to hear Luke and David call the game. So I hope you guys continue to have a good time up there.
It was, guys, and we appreciate it, and we look forward to being back. And I look forward to next Friday as Pelham comes in. Need a big crowd at the stadium, and another opportunity at a big region victory. And we need to win these games. We want that Helena game to come down to who decides who wins this region here in a few weeks.
Yes, sir. Well, that's Brett Pritchard, the voice of the Wildcats.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week, Brett. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and take another break. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice Motors.
Hey, honey, it's Mom. Just wanted to call and check in, see how everything's going. You'll probably say not to worry. Everything is great. But we miss you. I'll call you back later. How are you? Tell me everything.
Everything's great. I love it here.
This is Joseph Dean with Alabama Funeral Homes. As many of you are aware, we had a fire that significantly damaged our facilities. We were in the process of getting those rebuilt. We apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused the families that we serve. I want you to know that we are capable of handling all of your needs at Frederick Dean Funeral Home of Opelika, which will be servicing Alabama Funeral Homes families. We can be reached at our same number, 256-896-4502, or by email at joseph@alabamafuneralhomes.com.
You've dreamed about the perfect house, a place to call your own, and a place to not only stretch out, but to grow. Auto Owners protects your house because to you, it's home. That's simple human sense. Happy to help, man. I was just over there talking to myself anyway.
Frontline Outfitters provides all your aftermarket parts for your cars, trucks, and as well as your professional tinting solutions for auto, residential, and commercial buildings. Frontline Outfitters also handles vinyl wraps, spray-in bed liners, truck accessories, LED lighting, paint correction and detailing, and much more. Make sure Frontline Outfitters of Alexander City is your first call for tinting and aftermarket solutions. Call us today, 256-409-8100.
Hillaby Towers is an affordable senior citizens community located in Alexander City on Highway 22 East. Spacious one-bedrooms are available now. Great location, peaceful setting, comfortable living where pets are allowed and utilities are included. Call today to find out more information on Alexander City's best-kept secret, 256-329-0552. That's Hillaby Towers in Alexander City.
Welcome back in, and thanks for joining us on the Sports Split Saturday Sports Countdown, brought to you by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. We just had Brett Pritchard on to talk about the Benjamin Russell Wildcats and their big 50-7 region win, but we'll talk about another team locally, the Horseshoe Bend Generals, who got a 42-14 win over the Fett last night, back-to-back wins for them, and I think we do have Coach Phillips on with us. So, Coach Phillips, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, man.
Hey, we talking a little bit about the Horseshoe Bend Generals, 42-14 win over the Fett last night, and that gives you back-to-back wins, two big region wins actually for you. So kind of putting you in contention now if things go well the rest of the year to maybe make a playoff spot.
Yeah, we last night was a good game. We had a lot of guys contribute last night to the win, and that's kind of the past 2 weeks we've had a lot of guys really produce, and if we're going to be good and try to make a push for the playoffs, but that has to continue. It can't just be a one-man show. Football's the ultimate team game, and it shows when you play as a team, you get a little bit better result.
Absolutely. And so talking about the last 2 weeks, both games where you put up, 40-plus points, and, last week's game could have probably put up a little bit more, and I'm not really sure how last night went, probably the same thing as last week. But you talk about what has changed maybe for you guys to be able to put up some of the offensive points that we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Well, we went back kind of to the drawing board with kind of going back a little more wishbone. Past couple of weeks, more of a physical approach to the game, and we're still throwing in a couple of our spread concepts, and our guys kind of just really simplified a lot of things. And the offensive line, they're responding, they're blocking. Braxton Wilson, he's able to hit a couple long runs and run physical. James Smith's been able to throw the ball a little bit, getting around to guys like Carson Lucas and Corey Woods, and when you can run the ball effectively, it opens up the pass game. Last night, Corey Woods, he steps in as a tailback, and he had 3 or 4 touchdowns. So when you can spread the ball around, it makes it tougher on a defense, and that's kind of what we've been able to do the past couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. And we're here with Jeremy Phillips, head football coach of the Horseshoe Bend Generals. Big 42-14 win over the Fayette last night. And, Jeremy, we were talking about, some of the regions around the state and how difficult they are. Some of these classifications in 7A, regions in 7A, but your region seems to be maybe one of the toughest in the state as well. At one point in the season, I think, or recently, maybe 4 of the top 10 teams were in your region, or at least were on your schedule. So talking a little bit about that, about getting some relief after such a top-heavy schedule to begin the season.
Yeah, me and the coaches, we were sitting around last night, we was talking about it. There's no doubt. I think our region, pound for pound, is the hardest one in the state of Alabama. When you got guys like Highland Home, Reeltown, Laverne, Lynette, Goshen, they're playing well this year. It's just a gauntlet, really. And I don't know if you can name another region in the state that has those kind of teams ranking-wise like we have. I know at one point I looked at the standings. We had 4 teams in the top 10 and 1 that was receiving votes. That's 5 out of the 8 teams receiving votes. You don't see that very often in high school football. It's like I told the guys, though, at the beginning of the year, if you make the playoffs, you're going to have to play tough teams anyway, so you might as well go ahead and kind of raise the bar and win some games now, and that'll help you later down the road.
Coach Phillips, Coach David Jones here. Good to talk with you this morning. Congratulations on, things turning around for you guys. As far as your wishbone concept, on the high school level, we see so much spread now and people widening the field. It has to be a challenge for defensive coordinators, especially with fits and personnel, to prepare, for the wishbone. Danny Horn came into Benjamin Russell first game of the year, surprised them with a wishbone, and Benjamin Russell never recovered from that and took the loss. But so that's got to be a plus for you as well.
Yeah, it is. The wishbone, people, I learned from Coach Horn, and I played for him, then coached with him, and it's like you're saying, everybody week to week you spread, and heck, we see it with us. We play a lot of spread teams. When somebody throws in a different wrinkle and not used to the downhill in your face wishbone, it can be different. It can be difficult on you. There's a lot of things out of the wishbone that if you're not sound, you can expose the defense with. But the key is you got to be able to continuously get positive yards. If you get stuck behind the chains, that hurts you in the wishbone. But if you can get 3 or 4 yards a pop, you're going to get first downs, and that's the name of the game. And for me, I like to try to shorten the game as much as possible with guys going both ways. I like to get the clock running and give our guys a chance at the end of the game. And I think that the wishbone and being able to run the ball effectively, I mean, even if we're in our spreads concepts, I mean, if you can run the ball effectively, you're going to have a good chance to win the ball game.
Well, Coach Phillips, again, congratulations on the win last night, and we appreciate you joining us, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Oh, yeah, no problem, guys. Thank you. I'll come on anytime.
Yes, sir. That's Jeremy Phillips, head football coach of the Horseshoe Bend Generals. 42-14 win, again, as we said. Region win against Lafayette, and that will wrap up the first hour of the Saturday Sports Countdown, and we look forward to talking some college sports on a great slate of games this morning and afternoon. So more of the Sports Blitz Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
GlynnSmith.com, the great shopping experience you'll get at our dealership. Online, GlynnSmith.com. Brand new Chevrolets, brand new GMCs. GlynnSmith.com. Compare pre-owned models side by side. GlynnSmith.com. Get your best price every day and see everything we offer at your convenience 24/7. Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika, Alabama. Get ready to smile at GlynnSmith.com.
The Alabama Slammer. It's a popular drink at parties, but drink too many and you'll wind up in this Alabama Slammer. And if you drink and drive, get ready for a real Alabama Slammer. If you're involved in a crash where a driver's been drinking, you're 4 times more likely to die.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
There's only one clear choice in the Lake Martin area for plumbing, heating, and air. That's All Clear Plumbing and Air. Our professionally trained technicians offer full service repair and installation on all major brands. From drips to water heaters, thermostats to entire air conditioning and heating systems, and everything in between. Our fast, reliable, and guaranteed top-notch customer service will keep you informed and up to speed through the entire process. Call us today or look for us on Facebook and Instagram at All Clear Plumbing and Air, 256-496-2056. License number 19172.
If you haven't been to Big B Barbecue in Alex City, then you're missing the best barbecue around. Big B has everything from the best pulled or chopped pork, chicken, and beef to cheeseburgers and grilled chicken salads. Bring your friends and family out for a great dinner and sit outside on our beautiful patio, or sit inside and enjoy your meal by the fireplace. So come in and join us and enjoy the best barbecue in the area only at Big B Barbecue, located on Highway 22 West in Alex City.
Happy fall, y'all! It's Pumpkin Palooza time here at Gorey's Furniture. Make a purchase, pick a pumpkin, win a prize.
Every pumpkin has a number, and every number is a winner.
Discounts include free delivery, 10, 20, and up to 40% off, and that's only at Gorey's Furniture.
Happy Halloween from Gorey's Furniture.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
Welcome back into the second hour of the Sports Split Saturday Sports Countdown. David Jones, Scott Hardy here with you for the next hour. Spent most of the first hour speaking about high school football and going over some scores as we typically do each hour. We were able to catch up with Brett Pritchard, as well as just finished up with Coach Jeremy Phillips of the Horseshoe Bend Generals, getting their second win of the season, back-to-back wins there for them. Before we do transition, there was a score. We didn't go through all of them like we typically would, but score from last night that, they're just going to be very good, as they always are. But Central Clay 47, Valley 0. Benjamin Russell fans got up close and personal view of how good this team was week 1 or week 2 of the season, rather, game 1 for the Vols. But Coach Horn has his boys primed and ready for another playoff run, and they aren't just winning games. They are beating teams into submission. And even the Wildcat score, like, it was not as close as what the score would indicate there. I mean, they're putting up some great numbers. I think Valley said 4-1 coming in that game. So, big win for the Vols there.
And we use the term dudes. Valley's got 3 or 4 dudes that will have D1 or have D1 offers. I don't know that Central Clay has 4 dudes that have D1 offers, but when you play Danny Horn, it don't matter. He can take yours and be his. He can take his and be yours.
That's so. I mean, he's done it 3 different schools. Centrally, I mean, we'll say 1, but 3 different spots, and he adapted to the culture here at Benjamin Russell. And early on, we did have to do some some wishbone and getting under center because we didn't really have the guys that he would eventually get as the program started to blossom under him. But it's amazing to me in 5A football that he's able to run the wishbone and do it so successfully. And as to what your point was when we were talking to Coach Phillips, teams don't practice that. It's hard to implement that. And even as a scout team, you can't replicate the way that team's going to run it because you don't see it enough to really do it. So it's going to be a challenge for teams, even if you're very athletic and all of those different things, when you're as well coached as a Danny Horn team is going to be, and you're as familiar with a system that most of these kids have been doing it since they were 6, 7 years old. So they know it. But it's amazing to me that they continue to find success using that.
And that goes across sports too, Scott. In my later years coaching basketball, because of where I was and the fact that we were always up against more talented teams, we began to run the Princeton offense, spread the floor, 3s and layups, which I'm a big proponent of the mid-range jumper, and that's not much of an option with the Princeton offense. It was the only down drawback for me. But we just really gave people fits because we were proficient with that offense, and they don't practice against that.
Yeah.
And that's a valid, huge point, especially on the high school level. So Coach Horn continues to do it. It's going to be interesting. I'm thinking of 3 big teams. I think Gunnersville may be another one up north in 5A. But Central Clay, Ramsey, Gulf Shores are on a collision course at some point when we get to the playoffs.
We've been talking about a potential matchup between Central Clay and Ramsey and how that would look like. I mean, you're looking at 2 polar opposites of teams, and the Vols have dealt with that on their, when they won 2 out of 3. They played, Pleasant Grove, who was very similar to a Ramsey team in terms of scheme and playmakers, but we've seen it year after year what Coach Horn's been able to do. But this Ramsey team this year is unbelievable. They've been on a track for a while, but, I think this may be the best team they've had in a while and maybe one of the best teams in high school football in Alabama right now, just regardless of classification.
And, Scott, that's right. And they're angry right now. They lost the number 1, and kudos to Gulf Shores. That's the first number 1 ranking in the history of Gulf Shores football, and of course I was on the staff for many years from the jump. But Ramsey has lost to Auburn by 1 touchdown and could have won that game. And I don't know who their other loss was to, but it was another larger school.
Higher classification.
And they're like taking a baseball bat to a beehive right now. They're angry about losing that number 1 ranking, and they're going to be heck to deal with.
Yes, sir. Well, speaking of heck to deal with, transition over to some college sports. And as we talked about earlier, a nice slate of games today.
Isn't it?
Mixture of SEC and just, across the country, some big matchups. Any particular ones you want to start with?
Well, there's and I'm just going to tell you straight up, this year I'm a married man now. And I've been married 44 years to the same woman. And it's inevitable. We're going to go to the Dadeville Fall Festival. It's today. And I told her, we'll make an appearance early. We ain't staying all day. I got 3 in a row that I'm interested in. And, of course, the first one is the Red River Shootouts, what they call it, the Texas State Fair. That would be on my bucket list if I could ever go to that. They say it's amazing. But did you know, Scott, that the commissioner of the Big 12, he's not even going to the game?
Oh, wow.
They're done with him.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're not friends right now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something, too, that I haven't thought about in terms of what that's bringing to the SEC, but that brings another big-time rivalry that brings more exposure to the conference. And I can't decide on this game. Texas is I think it's down to a 5-point favorite right now, and you would think the way that they've been playing that this should be a game that they would be able to win, not necessarily easily, but Oklahoma's going to put up points. We know that. It's just whether or not they can do anything defensively. But I'm interested to see how that how their play translates moving into the SEC, where you can't not be a defensive-minded team. I mean, you have to put up points, obviously, but defense has to be a priority in terms of recruiting and how you're able to compete. And I think that impacts Oklahoma more probably than it does Texas.
Yeah, that's right. And the crazy thing about that, Scott, is that Venables is a defensive guy. And they've not been very good on defense. This is an Iron Bowl-ish type of rivalry. It is. So you can throw the records out. And for all the Auburn fans out there, I don't know if they realize this or not, Texas played at Alabama this year. Oklahoma is coming to Auburn next year. That's already on the schedule. We don't have a date yet. But how about that for Auburn fans to have the Sooners? I still remember when they beat us in that bowl game in New Orleans, and they weren't nice. So we're looking for a little payback there. But that's going to add a lot of spice to the conference. I'm going to say Texas covers and wins this. I just think they're really playing well right now.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there, and just I think it'll come down to quarterback play, and I think Texas has the advantage there. But I think there's another game probably that I could see being of interest of yours, and that's that battle of the Tigers, LSU and Missouri, 11 o'clock kickoff. LSU reeling a little bit, and that's 2 losses. You lose a game you really probably, I think, eventually they thought they would get the win against Ole Miss and just didn't come to fruition. But big game for them, where it could be – you still got Alabama left on the schedule, still got Auburn left on the schedule. I mean, if they lose this game, it could be going from a team that many thought, myself included, could be a playoff contender to now, a 7-win team.
Well, that's right. And, Andy and I have harped on this, and I'm a firm believer. Look, and you know this, being an Auburn, when you come into Jordan-Hare Stadium, you're in for a rude awakening. It's an environment like no other. That atmosphere last Saturday.
Kirby mentioned it in his
he did. Gave props. And this game is in Columbia. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
LSU should win.
They should.
But it's just, when things start to go badly, they can go badly quickly. And I'll say this. Brett did say he thought that he wasn't sure how great of a season last year really was, if that was indicative of what Brian Kelly was going to be able to do. But said if it did start to falter, it could happen very quickly for them. And not saying that, they could go out and run the table the rest of the season, but maybe last year was more of a facade, and that wasn't necessarily where the program was going. There were some leftover guys from the previous staff, and so you had a plethora of talent. They're going to always have talent, but it's just troubling sometimes when you look at them. Like, they should always be, like, for me, I think that they should have been in Alabama, and which they had their times, obviously just won 1 in 19, but not what we have, I think, expected from them coming into the year.
Well, when he was hired, I had a little fun with it. I called him Les Miles 2.0. I just had, but he didn't win very many big games at Notre Dame. He didn't.
They were blown out in all the big ones. Like, anytime there was a big one, they were big losses.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you bring him to LSU, more resources and all of that. And then they open the season, and Florida State just says, "Hold my beer."
Yeah.
And and we're going, well, what the heck's going on here? So, and they've been this. So we'll find out today. And Drinkwitz has kind of been on the chopping block, and I like Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah.
This could be a huge signature win.
It could
for the Missouri Tigers today.
I mean,
will it be?
You talk about Missouri and a team that, when both them and A&M came into the conference, most people assumed A&M would be the team that had the most success. It just made more sense. And early on, I mean, Missouri made it very quickly that they were going to be a team that could be a contender, especially in the East, 2 SEC championship appearances. So, I mean, there's that. But saying that, for today's game, I don't think it will be something where they get the win. But if they were able to, I think it's a bigger story that LSU loses than them winning the game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. And that's going to be interesting one to watch for sure.
And, I don't know if we've ever done a show together. This is actually our first show together. So,
did we do
an Auburn Blitz before, maybe?
We did something. I think this is our second one.
All right. So I don't think we've ever talked about my love for Ohio State. And so over the years, I've depressed or suppressed that a little bit.
And where did that come from, brother?
So my dad's from Cleveland, and we would, when I was growing up, he was a big Ohio State guy, still is. And so I have always liked him. But as I've been doing the show more and more as I got older, when I first started almost 20 years ago now, not that long, 15 years ago, they would give me a hard time. But I was all about the Buckeyes, even though I'm an Auburn guy. But they have a big game against Maryland today. And I think that, this could be a pretty close game, I think. I think Maryland's going to be in contention for a lot of the game.
Maryland, they've got it going in Maryland. They really do. That's going to be an interesting game. My father-in-law, who is now in Chapman Nursing Home, we had to move him down here, but he lived in Marion, Ohio, which is 30 minutes from Columbus.
Yeah.
And those people are Buckeye crazy up there. Of course, we buy him Auburn gear now, and he wears it. So he has seen the light. But there are 2 other SEC games. I know we got plenty of time left. But obviously, let's go ahead and talk about let's talk about the late one first. And I'm intrigued by this game. I want to get your thoughts on it too, especially after what we witnessed last Saturday. Kentucky at Georgia. Now, if this game was in Lexington, I might pick Kentucky. I mean, but it's in Athens, and I think that's going to make the difference. But this is a year, the way things have gone, Scott, I would not be shocked if Kentucky plays Georgia's rear end off today.
14.5-point spread. I feel like Georgia's better than 2 touchdowns than Kentucky.
Do you?
Just generally speaking, not just today, I'm saying, but generally, I think they're probably better. I think 2 things, and I'm sure you've talked about it on Auburn Blitz, but I think that last week for Georgia, I think was 2 things. One, it was their first road game, a true test game, and I think that maybe that was what they needed to see, kind of where they were moving forward. But I think this is going to be one of those years where, similar to Alabama in those early years when they were getting things going, they're just going to find ways to win. They're going to be in. The opponents are going to be in games where you man, they have a chance, and just not enough. And so when you're 2-time defending national champion, you understand what it takes to win. But I'm not against your pick in terms of them possibly winning. If it was in Lexington, you're probably looking at an 8 to 10 point game or spread, and then it gets a little shaky. But not overly impressed with Georgia offensively, except for this one guy who, apparently you just let him run around on the field open, Brock Bowers. But
Earth to Kentucky, fine number 19 today.
Yeah.
He's still running around Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Yeah.
But, and you know why that's the case, Scott, is mindset. Georgia is, you mentioned this earlier in the show, Georgia is right now where Alabama had been, and I'm not saying Alabama, you got to be careful. These Alabama fans, man, they get angry.
They do get mad at you.
I'm not saying Alabama will not be back where they were, but that was a mindset thing with Alabama. They just knew they were going to win. Georgia feels the same way right now. They had no doubt last Saturday they were going to win. They were going to find a way. They found a way with a late drive, and that's why. But I just like the fact that we're even talking today about a Kentucky having a chance against a Georgia, slim as it is, a Missouri having a chance against an LSU, a Texas A&M, we'll talk about that one.
Yeah.
That has a very good chance against an Alabama because their defensive front is elite. But, yeah, like I said, if that game was in Lexington, I might pick Kentucky for the upset, but it's in Athens. But I'm saying that Georgia won't cover. I think it's going to be close.
I think Kentucky does cover. I do think that. And I could see, if it's my thoughts going into the Georgia game last week was I said if Auburn is within 10 going into the fourth quarter, I thought that they would have a legitimate shot to win. And obviously they were up at multiple times in the game and made it, I think the story as an Auburn fan for me was more so how competitive we were and not necessarily Georgia winning the game. I think it was very critical with the amount of recruits that were there and the expectations of what we think is going to happen for long-term success for the Tigers. It was important to show, hey, we're close. You come here, and then we can take the next step. So I think there was a combination of a lot of things, and from a fan perspective, obviously you want to win. You get that close. I was sad Saturday. There was multiple chances for Auburn to win, but it makes me feel more comfortable about the long-term sustainability of what Hugh Freeze and company will be able to do moving forward.
It was a perfect storm last Saturday, Scott, with the recruits. And Bruce had some recruits in town, and Butch Thompson had one of the top pitchers in the country in town last week. If they didn't see what they needed to see last week, I don't know what to tell them. I mean, the only other thing that could have gone great was we could have pulled the game out because the atmosphere. One of the recruits said, the students knew who I was. They were calling my name. And I'll never forget when my son went on his official visit at Alabama. He ended up committing to Auburn, but there was a big-time football recruit on campus that day, and the student section were just going. That means a lot to these kids. And so, Andy and I have talked about this again on the Auburn Blitz. We were talking about how many more wins do you see on the schedule for Auburn, and I said 4. But, we got on that recruiting hype with Hugh Freeze and started saying, we might win 8, 9 games this year. Well, no, none of those guys are on campus yet, Scott.
Yeah, no.
If we go 6, 6, 7, 5 this year, we need to be happy. Now, when those guys get on campus in a year, give Coach Freeze 2 years, it's like the guy that asked him in the press conference last week, what's your 5-year plan? And he said, in 3 years, we want to be elite enough that we're competing with anybody.
Yes, sir.
And if this continues to be the case, flipping guys and NIL, and it's just crazy what all's going on. Georgia, high school, just passed the
I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen primarily because it sets it hurts states that don't have it because now these kids may move to neighboring states, or if you're Georgia, maybe I'm just me thinking it if I'm at Georgia, maybe I'll start to partner with some of these high schools that, like, you create a natural pipeline from that. So,
well, Scott, and that trickles up to the college level. Look at college baseball. 11.7 scholarships for college baseball. Are you kidding me? And Vanderbilt's got the Hope Scholarship. Georgia's got the lottery. Butch Thompson and Alabama and all these, they're beating their head against the wall with these guys. I mean, you've got to find scholarship money for these guys. That's why NIL is also important with some of your more non-revenue sports. I'm specifically thinking of baseball right now. But It's crazy what's going on. I like where we are at Auburn right now with the recruiting. I don't think you could ask for more. It's obvious that I don't even like to call his name. The last guy just didn't like to recruit. And we got stories. We ain't got time to tell them all.
Yeah.
But when you got to go to the head coach's office and say, "Hey, coach, we're having a recruiting meeting. You want to come over?"
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. But we're not there anymore. Let's move on. Love where we are. And just quickly, I'm thankful for the off week this week because I'd love to get your thoughts on this too. Andy asked me this: what do I think that the Hugh Freeze and the coaching staff are concentrating on with this off week and healing some guys up? I think a couple of them are not going to be around for a while, but some of these guys that are just dinged up, to get them back for LSU is going to be huge. And I told Andy I think that the offensive staff is probably really just fine-tuning what are we really good at, self-scout. What do we need to throw out? Simplify it for Thorne and Ashford in the offensive line. Because, look, we got the dudes at running back. Somebody needs to go preach a sermon in the wide receiver room. Those guys they got to turn it on.
Yeah, I'll have a good response for that. On the other side of this break, catch up on that. More of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
Hi, this is Brian Bice with Bice Motors. With our all-star lineup of Dodge trucks, Jeep, SUVs, and Chrysler cars, we offer the area a team dedicated to making your next vehicle purchase a positive experience. Our sales team offers competitive pricing, and we back up all sales with a service department second to none. Bice Motors also offers the area's best selection of pre-owned vehicles. Visit Bice Motors at 2133 Cherokee Road in Alexander City.
Guaranteed lowest price. Buy it at Bice. Bice Motors.
Heritage South Credit Union in Alexander City is your community credit union, and they have been for over 80 years. Heritage South Credit Union proudly serves Tallapoosa, Coosa, Lee, Chambers, Randolph, and Chilton counties. From checking to business accounts, to share savings to club accounts, to their kids club and investments. Visit them online at myhscu.com. Heritage South Credit Union, your community credit union for 80 years. Federally insured by NCUA.
Planting season is here, and the Potting Shed Garden Center is happy to give you professional landscaping advice when it comes to planting your shrubs and trees. Auburn's best kept secret will have it all this fall. Mums, pansies, pumpkins, and much more. All an array of colors and sizes, along with beautiful pots and containers, indoor plants, and a great selection of other gardening gifts. It's all at the Potting Shed Garden Shop, where natural elements reign supreme. Located on the corner of Moore's Mill and Society Hill Road in Auburn.
Have you stopped by Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store lately? If you haven't, you should. You'll find great pieces for your favorite do-it-yourself project. Lightly used name brand clothing by Free People, North Face, Matilda Jane, Patagonia, and a whole lot more. And while you're there, don't miss the shoes, decorative pieces, classic and new books, and Auburn and Alabama gear that won't cost you a fortune. So stop and shop at Lifesavers Mission Thrift Store today for a unique thrift experience that won't break the budget. Lifesavers Mission Thrift, located on East University behind Zaxby's.
Lake Area Realty specializes in Lake Martin real estate. They can help simplify your next real estate purchase or sell and have helped many home buyers and sellers through the area buy and sell real estate with precision. Lake Area Realty utilizes powerful marketing tools and knowledge of the lake to help you with your next move. Call your local hometown agency today, Lake Area Realty, at 256-825-4800. That's 256-825-4800. Lake Area Realty, helping you find your way home.
Hi, this is Andrew McGreer at Dunning Roofing. At Dunning Roofing, we specialize in high-quality, premium roofs. We don't build roofs that just meet code requirements. We build quality roofs with premium materials that significantly exceed our competitors' warranties. We put money on your roof, not in our pockets. If you're looking for a top-quality roof, call Dunning Roofing today for your free quote at 256-307-7601 or visit us at DunningRoofingAL.com for more information.
Welcome back into the Saturday Sports Countdown, brought to you by JR Sports Bar and Grill and Sunshine Heating and Air. 256-234-6221 is the number to dial in, and we'll take your calls. We're talking great slate of college football today, and also you do have the opportunity to let us know your thoughts on our Facebook page. We're live there as well, but just got finished talking a little bit about some of the games we're looking forward to and a little bit about the Auburn-Georgia game from last week. But with Auburn being off, all eyes for Auburn fans for the most part at 2:30 will be set on the Aggies, and the Tide as the Tide travels to College Station in a game that is almost, must win for the Tide.
It is.
And it could get very, very troubling for them if it goes south.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, Scott, and I know you know this because my wife and I pick one away game every year to go to Auburn football. We kind of combine our travel with our sports, which is it's a beautiful thing. And we chose College Station this year. So we were there for the Auburn game. And I want to tell you, hospitality-wise, those people rival Auburn folks. They're just extremely friendly. Rarely did I go anywhere where somebody didn't say, hey, thank you for coming to Texas. How are you enjoying College Station? I hooked up with a guy with the 12th Man Foundation that basically told me where to go, what to do, what to see. I ended up having lunch with him on Friday at the Dixie Chicken, which is kind of the bar, the scene, hangout. Good hamburger, by the way. But all that being said, I don't know that Texas A&M is planning on being very hospitable to the Crimson Tide today. I don't know who to pick in this one. If you go by what we've been talking about, how important the home environment is, what's the line on this one? Is it close?
5.5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, less than a touchdown.
No, excuse me, 2. It was 2.5, Alabama, excuse me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been pushed down.
I'll say this, and Auburn fans are going, man, we just stunk it up against Texas A&M, but dang, we look good. Well, there again, we were home. But I'll tell you this, Georgia's defensive front is elite. They're really, really good. And then you throw in the Petrino factor on offense. He's just one of the best there's ever, I hate to admit it, but he's just one of the best there's ever been at breaking down film, exploiting favorable matchups. And they will do that today. So, that's must-see TV for me at 2:30 for sure.
Yeah, and I think that this is an opportunity for Milroe to, I think, I'm not going to say they let him loose a little bit because I think you'll have to be conservative with him to an extent because they don't want to put themselves in a position where they get down early or a turnover because he's going to turn the ball over inevitably. He's going to fumble, do something. So you know that that's coming. But the things that he brings to the table, I think, help offset the high caliber defensive front that you have at Texas A&M where, maybe you get some matchups where it's one-on-one with the linebacker or maybe you're getting one-on-one matchups on the outside and allow him to make some plays. But I'm not – I think I'm a Milroe guy. If I was an Alabama fan, that's the person that I would want being the quarterback. I think he gives you the best opportunity from a scheme-wise. You can do more with him, and he throws the ball well enough that he's not a liability for you throwing the ball. And so, but if he uses his legs the way that he's capable of, I think that this is a game where Alabama could win by 7-10. Now, that would take a lot, I think, to happen, but I'm more concerned about A&M's ability to move the ball against Alabama than I am Alabama stopping A&M.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting take. The only thing I would say this, Scott, I think everybody was when Wegman went out, but Johnson.
He's been a serviceable guy. No, I'm not even going to say serviceable. He's been a nice fielder.
Yeah, he's been more than serviceable. Yeah. He has. And I think they were scared to death. I like Max Johnson. He came in against us and just didn't miss a beat. If Alabama can occupy that Texas A&M secondary, spread them out, and create some grass, even if there's a spy for Alabama, For Texas A&M. Milroe is agile enough and good enough to, you remember, tackling Bryce Young was like tackling a fart. He just would disappear on you. I'm not saying Milroe is that, but Milroe one-on-one can make some people miss. That could be some big gainers. Yeah. I think this is cliche, but I'm sorry. I'm old school. I still think that field position and special teams will have a say in this game as well. I think it's going to be that close.
Yeah, and what you and Brett were talking about in the first hour about Gabe Benton and the Wildcats and how what really elevated this offense, or a way that you can elevate the Wildcat offense, is Gabe using his legs, more designed runs and letting him make plays. I think it's got to be that way today, too, for Alabama. I think you need to see some design runs, and as you said, even if there is a spy, that means that's one less defender you have on a receiver.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
I think that if he's able to open up things with his legs, then it's going to be an opportunity for them to take some shots down the field and just enough to apply some pressure. But what you said about the field position, I think, is what's going to ultimately matter, especially being on the road, hostile crowd. There'll be 105,000 people in there. Just nobody is going to be in support of the Tide there. So I think if you're Alabama, just keeping it close and not letting it get to a point where you get down multiple scores. Not that this is indicative of what we've seen from Alabama, but if they were to get down 10 points, 13 points at the half, I don't know if this is a team, as quickly as they can score at times, I don't know if they're built to come back that way because the fearfulness of who they have behind the center.
Yeah, you worry about that mistake that you were talking about coming to fruition. And the crazy thing too, Scott, I'm just a huge, I guess in my old age, I love going to the different stadiums and college towns and taking in the environment. And I heard Jimbo Fisher on Sports Radio this week. Now, they literally have 39,000 students standing up the whole ball game. And they don't put them in the end zone. They're all the way down that visitor side behind Alabama's bench. It's crazy. So, there again, if this game was in Tuscaloosa, I wouldn't have any problem picking Alabama. Probably still might pick Alabama, but I just and with the spread being 2 points, it'll be fun to watch.
And two, I think this is a big game for Jimbo for a lot of reasons. I think that the rumblings, it's hard to get rid of somebody when you owe them $95 million. It's hard to do that, and I don't think he's going anywhere for a while, but it makes it uncomfortable for him when they're not successful. So 8-4 is not acceptable anymore for A&M. Like, they need to be 9, 10, 11 win teams, and this would go a long way, I think, in deciding the fate of how the rest of the season is going to go. Listen to Saban on Pat McAfee's show Thursday, which I think he's doing a great job. When you see him outside of his coaching element and he speaks, I think he will, if he chooses to, if he's not the czar of college football, I think he could have a great career in doing, or his post-coaching career in some type of analyst spot or, contributing that way. But he talked about how this game is very pivotal in terms of the trajectory of both teams. Typically, this game has kind of set the tone for how each team was going to go the rest of the year and go dating back to the Johnny Manziel days. So I think that this is crucial for A&M to get this win. Like, you have all the things at your disposal for this to take place, and it seems to be a perfect storm where Alabama isn't necessarily the Alabama that we've grown to know. You have a defense that mirrors theirs, and you're able to do things offensively that we have grown accustomed to seeing from two of the better offensive minds of this generation of coaches. So A&M really needs to win this game, I think, to solidify themselves as somebody who could be a contender for an SEC championship appearance, at least.
Scott, do you realize, and this is crazy to think about, this is Jimbo's 6th season at Texas A&M. What have they done? It's and this is coming from somebody in Texas. If they want to get rid of him, about 7 or 8 phone calls.
They could.
They got the money. All that oil money in Texas and those boosters. Man, I mean, they've got resources out the wazoo out there. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying if he really got sideways with those folks, they can make that happen in a heartbeat. So you're exactly right. This is a huge game for Jimbo Fisher's, the perception of him getting that program going in the direction. And it's crazy for me to even say going in the direction it needs to go. But they haven't done what everybody expected them to do. You know, they had that so-called #1 recruiting class last year. Of course, half those guys left. The class that he bought, which is hilarious to think about, especially where that was coming from. We won't get into that any further. But, underperformed, underproduced, that would be the word. That's the truth.
Since they've been in the conference for the most part, I mean, you did have the 2-year stint with Johnny Manziel and Kevin Sumlin and Cliff Kingsbury when they had that run. They had the big Alabama win. But you take that win out, really, and, like, there hasn't been – they've been blah, which is what they were as a Big 12 team, kind of just blah.
That's a good term. That's right.
I could see where they get impacted. I think Missouri suffers and Vanderbilt suffers when Oklahoma and Texas come and any other additional expansion that takes place down the line. But A&M could be – they're teetering. I think them and Auburn are on the same path in terms of, all right, if we don't do something here soon to adjust where we are as a program, we're going to be middle tier for a while because Alabama and Georgia are not going anywhere. LSU will continue to recruit at levels that will at least keep them in the mix always. Tennessee seems to have emerged back as being a contender or at least a team that you're not going to push over anymore. Florida has, they're down, so they're suffering. But A&M with all of the resources they have.
Coming up.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Auburn and A&M, I think, are teams that are very similar, at least now currently in terms of the trajectory of where they are trying to go with their programs. Auburn has been at the top of the mountain and understands that. I mean, 3 SEC championship appearances in the last 10 years or 12 years, so it's not like Auburn hasn't been there. But A&M let Missouri go twice before you've gone. So, I mean, there's something to be said about that. But going back again for the perception of Jimbo, perception of the program, perception of the SEC, and where you stand in the conference. This is a major, major game for them. And if they lose, it's going to be, this is just what it's going to be. It's going to be another 8-4 season, and, we're not getting out the type of team that you would expect for the amount of resources and talent that you brought in.
And for what we're paying a coaching staff.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that's a good way to segue into our next break. Some more of the Saturday Sports Countdown right after this.
At C&T Electric, our clients are our priority. For the safety and security of your family and home, our technicians are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, and wear uniforms with name tags. We're proud to have served the Elk City, Dadeville, and Lake Martin areas for the past 10 years. Give us a call at 256-234-0007 for all your electrical service and repair needs, or visit us on the web at www.cntelectricllc.com and spell out the word "and."
Have you met your local Farmers Insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
The food at Oscar's Cafe makes your mouth water. At Oscar's, enjoy great tasting catfish, or maybe you're just in the mood for one of Oscar's fresh salads. Even kids know the place for a fine meal is Oscar's with a great kids menu. Oscar's also has great tasting burgers full of backyard flavor. So come on out to Oscar's Cafe for great food and homegrown hospitality. We're located on Highway 49 South in Dadeville, just before the Blue Creek Bridge. And remember, it's all fun and games till there's only one cheese ball left.
Life is a sequence of little successes.
The story of my Southern Union success began the day I walked on campus, making new friends, mastering a new skill, reaching a personal goal, the encore performance, the first date, the internship, and now, soon, the dream job. That's the story of my Southern Union success. Register for classes and get ready to watch your Southern Union story come to life.
Let Riverbank and Trust open doors for you. Whether you're purchasing land, a lot by the lake, or building or buying a home, begin with Tallapoosa County's loan experts. They'll guide you through the entire process, providing local decision-making, prompt responses, and the best real estate loan solutions for your unique needs. And in most cases, Riverbank and Trust can close your loan in 30 days or less, and they'll walk by your side every step of the way. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. We invite you to experience it for yourself.
Lake Area Realty specializes in Lake Martin real estate. They can help simplify your next real estate purchase or sell and have helped many home buyers and sellers through the area buy and sell real estate with precision. Lake Area Realty utilizes powerful marketing tools and knowledge of the lake to help you with your next move. Call your local hometown agency today, Lake Area Realty, at 256-825-4800. That's 256-825-4800. Lake Area Realty, helping you find your way home.
Couple more segments left on the Saturday Sports Countdown. David Jones, Scott Hardy here with you. It's been a fun hour and a half or so as we get primed up for a great slate of college football games. And David, you posed a question to me during the break, and see if we can get an answer for it now, if you don't mind asking it now for the people.
Let's do it. You mentioned conference expansion a minute ago, and this is something I hadn't even posed to Andy or Brett or any of the other guys, but it's just something that's been front of mind for me with all the craziness that we're looking at. Are we so far down the rabbit hole with this conference realignment expansion craziness that in 5 years we're going to sit here, they're going to sit back and go, this ain't working, you know? I'm relating to a student being a student athlete and online courses and travel. And I'll say my little Greg Sankey, my little thing that I believe is going on with him for the end of the conversation. But what do you think? And because it's been nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I love getting the opportunity, like it's not as drastic in the SEC as we've seen it in some other conferences. Getting the opportunity to have some teams in that you typically wouldn't have got the chance to play otherwise or see, and the cachet that Texas and Oklahoma brings to the SEC. But generally speaking, when you have a West Coast team, let's say now we're at the point in the football season now where you're going to have all these midweek football games and, you know, a Washington State playing a Maryland on a Wednesday or a Thursday. Like, it doesn't make sense logistically, the cost for that, the strain that it puts on your travel budget, the strain it puts on a student athlete. Now, really, you can take off the student aspect of that, and there is none of that. I mean, I think that money's the answer. What's the question? So that's always what it boils down to. But I don't see how this can work long-term when, I mean, it's tough for Auburn to go play Missouri on a Wednesday for basketball. Like, that's tough. So I can't imagine what it's going to be like when you were making jokes. You said the ACC is the all-coast conference. Yeah, when you're playing those types of teams in 3 different times, I mean, you're crossing over 3 time zones. That's going to be tough on a 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid. And so I don't know long-term, to answer your question, long-term, I don't know without a true plan and strategy of what they want everything to look like, because I think eventually it could be segmented out where, like, you have southeast, northwest, southwest, northeast, and, like, doing it that way possibly. Right. But under the current circumstances and where we see things moving forward, I don't see how this can work long term.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I love exotic matchups. I do. But you don't have to have a conference that's spread from coast to coast to get those. You can still schedule those. Geez, it's just crazy. And I want to say this. I could be totally wrong. If I ran into Greg Sankey on the street, he might say, David, you're off base on this. But he's so smart. I think the SEC is sitting back. I don't have a problem with Texas and Oklahoma. That makes a little bit of sense, okay? But I think Greg Sankey is sitting back and saying, we're not making another move. This thing's not going to work. We're going to sit right here with our 14 and see how this deal plays out. I could be wrong on that. But, Scott, I was watching somebody midweek this week. It was one of those midweek, conference games. And that team that was playing, God, I wish I could remember who it was. Their next 3 games are on Wednesdays for television.
So you start getting maybe like a Tulsa, maybe those when you start
getting
those
Liberty and somebody else.
Yeah,
maybe.
those MAC games or those when you start getting those, in which from a fan perspective, I like it because pretty much now you'll always have a football game on, including the NFL, until December.
Wednesday,
basically.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
NFL and college, you're getting 5 days, which the average fan loves because my wife, she wears me out during basketball season. I know your father-in-law, Jeff Hines, is the same way. I'll be watching a basketball game, and she'll say, who's playing? And I'll say, Hofstra. And so why are you watching that? Because it's a basketball game and it's on television.
Yeah, that pretty much sums up how his response would be.
Yeah, so from a fan standpoint, but we're not talking about can you imagine Auburn having 3 Wednesday football games in a row? The tailgate experience is out the window. And I know these are on a lower level, this other team, but that's just crazy for me to think of that a college football team has their next 3 football games on a Wednesday night, and it's just it's out of hand.
Yeah, and again, it makes sense why some of these teams would want to shift because of the monetary aspects of
that's it.
But still, though, I mean, your travel budget just has to be insane at that point, and so unless you're one of the top tier teams. Let me go back to what you're saying. I want to say what you said. I think the reason why Sankey isn't as concerned is because they have the top teams already. I mean, there are other teams like, you'd love to have an Ohio State or a Notre Dame, something like that. Yeah, that'd be great. But realistically speaking, I think we have the best programs. And so even from an academic standpoint, if you wanted to talk about adding a Duke and Carolina, that type of thing, I think it would be great if you could get those. But realistically, we're sitting in a very good spot.
We are.
Yeah.
Here's the caveat. I mentioned this to Andy. It just gets me so excited, obviously from a basketball standpoint. You imagine Auburn playing Duke in Cameron Indoor because they're in the conference. From a basketball standpoint, I'm going, good grief. I mean, but, from a football standpoint, and baseball, North Carolina, I mean, we beat them in a regional, super regional, few years back. Some of those matchups in the other sports excite the heck out of me. But from a football standpoint, right now, we're good. Let's just enjoy this. Bring Texas, Oklahoma on in, and we got our 14. Let's just sit back and see how this craziness works. And you can't tell me, Scott, that the travel, and I know they went out a day early, but you can't tell me that travel didn't affect Auburn a little bit in that Cal matchup. Yeah. So, and multiply that by the number of times that's going to be happening now with the All-Coast Conference, et cetera.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
We'll go ahead and take our final break of the Saturday Sports Countdown. More after this.
76% of nurses say they went into the profession because they wanted to help patients. No matter the reason you decided to become a nurse, you have all the tools needed to advance your degree at Jacksonville State University. Our Master's in Nursing program is now offered fully online and can be completed in less than 2 years. You can customize a flexible course schedule so you can receive your advanced education degree all while working on the front line. JSU Nursing, your opportunity to advance your career and serve your community.
This fall, nobody beats Martin's Sports Pub for Lake Martin's best sports experience. Martin's all-star lineup of cold beverages and pub fare food can't be beat. With the region's best wings, burgers, and signature dishes. At Martin's, you always have the best seat in the house for all college and NFL on our multiple 360 view TV and huge projection screen with surround sound. See our pigskin scoreboard weekly to win big money and let our all-pro team serve it all to you at the place we all win. Martin's, Highway 34, Dadeville. Satterfield Outdoor Living is Lake Martin's trusted friend for your outdoor land and leisure needs. We're the region's authorized Skag mower dealer for residential and commercial lawns and offer all the small engine accessories you need with top lines of Steel, Echo, Shindawa, Husqvarna, and Metabo products that can tame any landscape. Satterfield is also your grill headquarters with Big Green Egg Grill, and our pros service everything in-house and back up all sales. Get the Satterfield Outdoor difference on Highway 280 right across from Tallapoosa Ford.
At Russell Medical, we're proud of our exceptional nurses, like Nurse Brandy Worthy. Brandy represents the selfless, compassionate clinical leader patients expect and coworkers admire. Brandy was recently honored with the Nightingale Award for Nursing Excellence for her high standards, sound judgment, and caring manner. Her passion for her profession inspires us all.
Being a nurse is not just what you do, it's who you are. I'm proud to be a part of the nursing team at Russell Medical. We are the link between all hospital services, providing you with exceptional, personalized care.
Sometimes the word tradition is thrown out there too lightly. But when JR's Sports Bar and Grill is celebrating 25 years of Lake Martin's favorite place for wings, chicken fingers, good drink, and good hometown folks, well, you know it's a true celebration. All of October, come celebrate with us for 25 awesome years. Chris and Audra are so thankful for each and every customer that's become part of JR's family. Come all month long, see our remodeling on the inside, and stay tuned for our October celebration event coming soon. JR's, a true 25-year tradition for the Lake Martin area.
Hey, it's Brett Pritchard, and I'm here to tell you all about Sims Foods, who you know better as Wickles Pickles. Wickles Pickles, that 90-year-old recipe, wickedly delicious. Relish, okra, and pickles. From Saturday sandwiches, tailgate snacks, to holiday dinners with your family and friends. From their family to yours, Wickles Pickles, those wickedly delicious pickles.
Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious pickles.
Final segment of the Saturday Sports Countdown. It's been a great morning.
Sure has
couple
been
hours.
fun,
Yeah,
Scott.
I've enjoyed the opportunity to be with you, and I'm hopeful for some additional opportunities. This will be a pretty quick segment, but the biggest game of the day, excuse me, especially for SEC implications, is Alabama and Texas A&M. Just your final thoughts on that game and a prediction for us.
Ooh. You know, I'm not gonna make my Alabama friends happy, but I'm gonna go with the upset. I mean, the spread is so close, and once again, I just go back to what Andy and I have harped on the Auburn Blitz. Home field advantage in the SEC just means so much. That's why I'm picking Georgia over Kentucky today. If that game was in Lexington, I'd pick Kentucky. Games in College Station, I'm going to say that Petrino pull some rabbits out of his hat, and the Texas A&M defensive front makes Milroe uncomfortable, and it's going to be Texas A&M, but it'll only be by like a field goal.
By a field goal. I like that. I mean, part of me wants to go all in on A&M. I think that this is, excuse me, all of the stars have aligned for this to be the game that kind of projects them to being what College Station fans and, quite frankly, what the pundits have thought that would happen under Jimbo Fisher.
Or not.
Or not, yeah, or not, yeah. I think more of us probably thought this is what it was going to be anyway, but I think if they're able to apply some pressure to Milroe and force a couple of turnovers, make it a battle of field position, and keep it close for the majority of the game going into the fourth quarter, if it's 3 to 5 point game, we're sitting there and it's Alabama's up 17-13, something like that, 2017, then I think you see an Aggie team come out with a victory. So, gosh, I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to say Aggies maybe 23, tied 20.
Yeah.
24, 23, 23.
That's about where I am.
Like
maybe a few more points score, but
there probably will be. I mean, I could see where it's probably like 31-27, probably something like that. But if whoever gets to 31st, if it is one of those, if it gets high, I think the winning score is somewhere between probably 28 and 30. Truthfully, now that I think about that.
Okay, LSU, Missouri, who you got?
I'm gonna go with the Tigers. You can't lose there. No, I'll go LSU in this one. I like LSU.
Close? Are they going?
I think they win by 10.
Okay.
They win by 10. Yeah. So those are two big ones for the day, and I'll let you finish it off with the Georgia, Kentucky.
Georgia. This Kentucky defense is really, really good. It's going to be interesting if they can shut Brock Bowers down. But, you got to hand it to Beck. He did a great job last weekend. 23 of 33 for a bunch of yards.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Georgia because it's in Athens by 10.
All right.
Yeah.
There you have it. Well, we've enjoyed spending our Saturday morning with you, and we hope you have enjoyed the same. So for David Jones, I'm Scott Hardy saying thank you for joining the Saturday Sports Countdown.
So you want to build a home? Build the home you want with America's Home Place. Choose from over 150 floor plans, then personalize. Tile backsplash with granite countertops? Done. A spacious bathroom you've always dreamed of? You got it. Choose every detail, floors, cabinets, even the paint color.
How about electric lime?
Can't decide? Relax. At America's Home Place, we take care of it all. It's your home. Own it. America's Home Place.
Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor wants you to know we appreciate a great year from all of East Central Alabama, and now our inventory of superior zero-turn mowers from Spartan and Mahindra tractors is on the move. Shop Lake Martin Tractor for outstanding deals, finance rates as low as 0% and low payments. Spartan mowers as low as $84 per month. Mahindra four-wheel drive tractors and loader packages as low as $399 per month, including cutter, box blade, and 20-foot trailers. Spring into 22 at Lake Martin Tractor and Outdoor, Highway 280 in Alexander City, or online lakemartintractor.com.
If you're seeing the American cockroach, throw up the red flag. Ladybugs, throw up the red flag. Ants and swarming termites, throw up the red flag. And kudzu bugs, throw up the red flag. That's Red Flag Pest Control. So the caution is on. Call Red Flag Pest Control today.
I'm Scott Davis with Red Flag Pest Control. Call me today, 256-825-0430.
Have you met your local Farmers Insurance agent, Patrick Holina? He proudly serves Tallapoosa County and Alexander City families and businesses and is ready to review your existing policies or provide a no-obligation quote today. Call the Holina Agency at 256-234-0037 or stop in today at 704 Commerce Drive to get smarter about your insurance. Again, that's the Holina Agency, 256-234-0037.
We are farmers. Bum, ba, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Farmers and Merchants Bank of Dadeville is building a foundation of strength and trust in the entire Lake Martin community. With our modern branch in Dadeville and caring, attentive staff, we've established Farmers and Merchants Bank as a reliable friend to your banking needs. Whether it's just a savings or checking account or any commercial, auto, or real estate loan, Farmers has local decision-making to build a relationship with you and your needs. Farmers and Merchants Community Bank. Strength, service, community.